Huohuo is finally here. A new sustain character that will compete against our current support titans, Luocha and Fushuan. Will she flop or actually sit on top? The key section of this guide will talk about how important it is to choose the proper playstyle for Huohuo and how to enable it. If you found the guide helpful, consider liking the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on up-to-date information. I always read everyone's comments, so feel free to ask questions that were not answered in the video. Without further ado, a trainee Ten Lords Commission judge of the Xianzhou Luofu. She is a young Foxian girl possessed by a heliobus. She is a timid and weak girl who is afraid of all kinds of strange things, but is responsible for luring and subduing evil spirits. Huohuo is a 5-star wind character that specializes in healing the team, cleansing debuffs and extra utilities to improve the whole team's performance. She follows the abundance path. Huohuo's kit is centered around her skill and talent synergy. Using her skill, she would heal the main target and adjacent allies. The healing amount on the main target is noticeably higher compared to the heal the adjacent targets receive. Imagine it like a blast-type skill, except it's for healing. The most notable feature of Huohuo's skill is that it has a crazy high HP modifier. For example, let's assume that Huohuo has 6,000 HP, is using an outgoing heal body relic and level 8 skill. She would heal the main target for 2250 HP and the adjacent targets for 1802 HP each. To put that into perspective, Bailu with the same stats and gear but using a level 10 ultimate would only heal allies for 1573 HP each. Remember, that is a level 8 skill versus a level 10 ultimate. After Huohuo uses her skill, her talent would provide herself a 2-turn buff called Sacrificed Life. If this buff is active whenever an ally's turn starts, or when an ally uses their ultimate, her talent would be triggered and heal that ally for a small amount of HP. Any ally with 50% or less HP also gets healed. Additionally, this heal would also dispel one debuff. Despite the fact that other allies with low HP also get healed, they do not trigger the dispel effect. This means that if you're trying to use another ally's ultimate to cleanse a debuff on a low HP ally, it won't work. It needs to be the ultimate of the low HP ally that is used to trigger the cleanse effect on themselves. There's a lot to unpack when it comes to Huohuo's talent, so let's start with the small healing it provides. This works in synergy with Huohuo's A6 trace. Huohuo will regenerate 1 energy whenever her talent heals an ally. This is a huge contributor to Huohuo's ultimate rotations. The cleanse effect specifically mentions that it dispels 1 debuff. This is important because what it means is that it can dispel any kind of negative status. For example, Fushuan's A6 trace specifically mentions that it will resist crowd control debuffs, meaning it won't be able to resist debuffs that do not inflict some sort of crowd control. Huohuo's talent, on the other hand, can dispel any kind of debuffs, even if the debuff applies crowd control effects. This feature is particularly strong against freeze, since freeze would forcefully skip the target's turn, and technically delay them by 50%. Since the cleanse effect happens before the turn skip and action delay, the only negative effect you'll suffer from freeze is having the affected target's ultimate disabled while frozen. The other effects are completely nullified. However, it doesn't help against something like imprisonment. The action delay and slow debuff of imprisonment is instantly applied, so even if the debuffed ally could cleanse imprisonment on their turn, they already suffered from its negative effects. I would like to take this chance to highlight this talent's big weakness. Against crowd control, it cannot cleanse on demand. The only way to get rid of crowd control effects as soon as possible is for Huohuo to take her turn and use her skill on the controlled ally. This is also a problem for a character like Jing Yuan, who ideally does not want to be disabled by crowd control effects, because it will prevent his Lightning Lord from attacking. The biggest advantage of Huohuo's cleanse lies in its frequency. As long as the team isn't unreasonably slow, everyone would be able to enjoy a debuff-free gameplay. This is especially quite a game changer against Phantilia and the Ascended, since everyone in the team would just instantly dispel the annoying effect of Prana Siphon, which decreases the maximum HP you can heal on the affected ally. And more so against the Ascended, since she won't be able to stack her wind shear debuffs at all. Finally, we have Huohuo's ultimate, which is honestly very straightforward. It regenerates all other allies' energy by up to 20% of their max energy at level 10. Additionally, it will provide a 2-turn attack buff that can reach up to 40%. Huohuo's only source of healing is through her skill. Her talent requires you to use her skill before you can trigger its healing effects. Therefore, Huohuo is the first abundance character that could not be played as SP positive unless you are willing to spend for her first Eidolon. The simplest way to play Huohuo is through an SP neutral playstyle. Simply give her an energy rope, alternate her skill and basic attack, and that'll give her a 4-turn ultimate rotation. However, it is important to note that this requires you to trigger Huohuo's talent at least 13 times within those 4 turns to guarantee her ultimate. To prevent any energy issues from happening, give Huohuo at least a Planar set or a light cone that boosts energy regeneration. I will talk about Huohuo's alternative playstyle in a separate section, since there's quite a lot of things to cover. As a support, the best light cone for Huohuo is subjective, so this section can be very opinion-based. Personally, I don't think that anything beats her signature light cone, Night of Fright. The energy regeneration guarantees your 4-turn ultimate rotation. The heals coming from ultimates would improve Huohuo's lack of strong heal on demand. Finally, the attack buff is easily stacked and maintained by both her multi-target heal and the high-frequency heals coming from her talent. Even though the attack buff only lasts for 2 turns, its duration is refreshed whenever more heals are triggered. Next is post-op conversation and shared feeling. Shared feeling is objectively better if you are using a 4-turn ultimate rotation. The extra 2 energy per skill cast is enough to guarantee her ultimate. Not to mention, the outgoing healing boost applies to all of Huohuo's healing. Post-op conversation also guarantees Huohuo's 4-turn ultimate rotation. The problem, however, is its other effect, which is 100% useless for Huohuo since her ultimate does not provide any healing. As for the other remaining options, they can be a bit troublesome to use due to the lack of extra energy. So if you want to guarantee your 4-turn ultimate rotation, make sure to use a Planar set that provides extra energy regeneration. Quid Pro Quo is a great option to further improve Huohuo's energy battery roll. Just make sure that it is actually helping your allies hit certain energy breakpoints, else it is useless. Time Waits for No One is a great premium option if you simply want to improve Huohuo's healing. It has the highest base HP stat out of all Abundance Light Cones. It also provides both HP increase and outgoing heal boost, so expect some crazy healing with this LC equipped. Starting with the Planar set, Ageless, Broken Keel, Vonwhack, and Penacony are all viable options. Picking which one you want to use ultimately depends on what you need. Ageless and Broken Keel are good options to boost the damage of your team. Typically, for damage increase purposes, Broken Keel is the better option. But if it's overall performance boost, Ageless is the better pick, since it also provides HP increase to Huohuo that improves her own healing and survivability. Vonwhack and Penacony for its energy regeneration, which guarantees 4-turn ultimate rotation when you're not using a light cone that provides energy to Huohuo herself. Penacony can be the better pick if one or more of your damage dealers are wind element. Aim for an energy rope and HP sphere. For the Cavern Relics, you can use a 2-piece combination of Passerby, Messenger, and Disciple. The only 4-piece set I would recommend is Passerby. 4-piece Messenger isn't good and could only provide an extra turn at around 7 or more cycles with a very spammable ultimate. This won't work with Huohuo. As a general tip, please don't bother with 4-piece Messenger. It is actually not a very good 4-piece set and could only work on very specific builds or teams. Aim for outgoing heal on the body relic and speed main stat for the boots. Just a bit of disclaimer, this is an alternative playstyle for Huohuo. Me mentioning it on this guide doesn't mean I am telling you that this is how you should play her. This was a problem in my Fushuan guide when people said I was forcing the sub-damage dealer build on them just because it was mentioned. As the title already implies, this is a Huohuo playstyle that allows you to use her ultimate every 3 turns. Let's start with the benefits. A good way to summarize Huohuo's ultimate effect is that it would reduce the turns required for your teammates' ultimate rotation. It definitely doesn't work this way for a few characters, but it is the case for the majority. The best examples I could use are DOT supports like Sampo, Luca, and Guinefin. These characters do not like using energy ropes even if it could potentially reduce the turns required for their ultimate rotations. Not using an attack rope is just too much of a damage loss for characters who rely on their DOTs to deal damage. But at the same time, you'd really want them to reduce the turns required for their ultimate rotation because of the extra effects it provides, such as Sampo and Luca applying vulnerability debuff. Technically, Guinefin also does the same by getting more vulnerability debuff stacks. Improving the uptime of vulnerability debuffs is quite the game changer for the majority of team comps. After all, vulnerability is not a common damage boosting multiplier, which makes it valuable. Reducing the turns required for ultimate rotations could also provide a significant damage boost to certain characters. This could range from 10% to even up to 20% depending on the character. Quick examples are Topaz getting around 10% boost, Blade getting around 14% boost, and Guinefin getting up to 19% boost. Remember, we're only talking about the energy provided by Huohuo's ultimate. At level 10, it would also provide a 2-turn 40% attack boost. With a 4-turn ultimate rotation, this means that the attack boost only has a 50% uptime, which technically halves its effect. With a 3-turn ultimate rotation, however, this becomes 66% uptime. In other words, it only has a 1-turn downtime. So that's technically 6.7% energy and 26.4% attack boost per turn on average. Sounds great. The cost? Well, this is where it gets tricky. Huohuo's ultimate costs 140 energy, and that is a lot. This means it is completely required for her to go SP negative. Energy rope alone is not enough, and would need either her signature LC or post-op conversation LC. If she uses her signature LC at rank 1, she needs her A6 trace to trigger 12 times so she can get enough energy for a 3-turn ultimate rotation. Getting her A6 trace to trigger 12 times within 3 turns is very hard. To guarantee the ultimate rotation, you need to either get Huohuo's signature LC to rank 3, or equip her with the Von Wack or Penacony Planar set, or hope that she gets hit once every 3 turns. If she uses post-op conversation, it needs to be at least rank 5. Her first Eidolon, anchored to Vessel, Spectre's Nestled, could allow Huohuo to opt for an SP-positive playstyle. At the same time, the 12% speed boost can help you reach certain speed breakpoints. If you have her signature LC, and have her A6 trace triggered 12 times every 4 turns, Huohuo can simply perform 1 skill cast and 3 basic attacks for a 4-turn ultimate rotation. Her second Eidolon, Sealed in Tail, Wraith Subdued, is for players with skill issues. Her fourth Eidolon, Tied in Life Bound to Strife. While it simply improves her burst healing, it is especially helpful in emergencies. Her final Eidolon, Woven Together, Cohere Forever, is probably the most broken E6 in the game. Huohuo's talent automatically heals allies when they start their turn, as long as Sacrificed Life is active. This means that this Eidolon's effect would have a 100% uptime. A permanent 50% damage boost is way too powerful and works well with the attack boost coming from her ultimate. Huohuo can fit in almost any type of team. Instead of listing down the endless possible team setups with her, let's just talk about her powerful synergies with certain characters. Huohuo's ultimate provides a % amount of energy instead of a flat amount. This automatically means she is great to pair with characters that have high energy capacity. This includes characters such as Imbibitor Lunai, Jingliu, Qingke, and much more. As explained earlier, Huohuo is heaven sent for DOT team users. She will be good with Kafka, Sampo, Luca, and Guinefin. Interestingly enough, Huohuo is great with Tingyun in 2 ways. Both of them can work together and provide a continuous energy source for your main carry. This is especially strong for someone like Jingliu who prefers staying in her buffed state. Tingyan herself also has a huge energy capacity, meaning she greatly benefits from Huohuo's ultimate as well. In fact, this can allow Tingyan to have a 2-turn ultimate rotation when the other requirements are met. For the SP negative playstyle, you'd definitely want a character that could counter the SP drain. As usual, one of the best picks for this is Pella, a true SP positive character. But now, we also have Topaz who can be played as a true SP positive character as well. Overall, Huohuo does not compete against our current support titans. Instead, she will sit on top with them. Should you try to pull or build Huohuo if you get the chance? It depends. You'd absolutely have no reason to pull for Huohuo if you have both Luocha and Fushuan. These two are very solid sustain characters that won't get obsolete anytime soon. However, if you only have one of them, it could be a good decision to try and get Huohuo. Even though she's another sustain character, Huohuo introduces a new playstyle that allows your team to spam their ultimates more frequently. As mentioned on the guide, just reducing the turns required for an ultimate rotation by 1 could already translate to 10% or even up to 20% overall performance boost depending on the character. And this doesn't apply to just one teammate, it applies to all of her teammates. The high frequency of Huohuo's cleanse is currently unique to her. There is no other support character that could cleanse the team of debuffs as impressively as Huohuo. Others would need to sacrifice precious SP, or even be forced to use their ultimate just to trigger one instance of cleanse. These mentioned features make Huohuo pull ahead its competitors against certain enemy matchups, and could be the deciding factor on whether you should get her or not. And that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next one.